pull like half these things out my ass anyway. All right. Well then. C, would you be so kind as to give us a recap, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
After turning in our prisoner to a weary city guard, Declan rejoins the others as they're helping Makud recover from his ordeal. He scouts the passageway up ahead and finds the skeleton of a long dead mage and finds a glass bottle with a portion of sky blue liquid in it with a decaying cork. After a bit of trekking, they encounter no other branches off of this tunnel, and we say that perhaps it is time to give the scarab door another try. And so going back to the scarab door, we figure out how to open up the little orbs on the wall. Scarabs come pouring out, one of which is metallic and golden. Catching that one, we then proceed to repeat the process with three of the other thingy mabobs. And whenever we get all of the little bug friends together, they form a key. And we open up the door and continue on our way, avoiding a bunch of traps that the guy that we questioned warned us about. We get trapped in get past the pit trap and get kind of squeezed into a small little tunnel and there's bars blocking the way, and that's when there's a huge wave of water that threatens to blow us back into the spiked pit trap back in the room prior. Makud saves Abrashmina from getting swept away. Declan is a self-rescuing princess and manages to save himself, while Bryn and Makud needed no assistance because they strong peoples and were able to keep themselves from flying back through the water. After the water recedes, it appears that it opened up another path for us to take. In a chamber, we encounter Jura the Trapper, who is rail thin and a crazy albino with a massive crossbow who likes to giggle and taunt. And at one point, he shoots Makud with a bolt, and Makud flies into a mindless rage, and he lays into Declan in his fervor. Whatever came over him seems to fade quickly after. But even though this happened and a massive fireball trap gets set off on them, they still manage to defeat him. We search his place, find some manacles, and we tie him up, and then we find another passage that leads upwards and leads us out to the edge of the city, and we're returning to Rashar with Jura, the apostle, the trapper, in our clutches.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So, as we all know, we're going to be skipping away a bit because we're done, Dylan. Could you just give me 2 secs? Actually, I need to grab my old notebook. I'll be two seconds.
His old notebook. I told you it is a mon, you guys. Fuck.
All right. There we are. No, it's just something I never transferred over.
Sure.
That is
non-stat block.
Rarely, yeah. Oh, the map for Amon's fucking. Where is it? This is a shitty notebook. Not that one. Yes, this one. There we go. Okay. So, we will begin a few days later, or we'll say a day later. The three of you, well, the four of you have rested, and you've safely deposited Jura the Trapper with the 6 eyes. Declan has been feverishly working in his lab, trying to determine the nature of the poison and whatnot on the trapper's bolts, as well as trying to find out some more about the mushrooms and generally just catching up on all the experiments he had planned. And so the three of you find yourselves sort of lolling about, not really doing much, sitting in the comfort of your home as it's of your inn as it's being prepared. Maybe you're fixing things. Abrishmina's maybe practicing her bartending. Where Declan has popped out to go to the shops, pick up a few things, and you hear a knock at the door of the inn.
Abrashmina will go to open the door.
Yeah, and you see a very strange man standing before you. He's very tall and quite muscular looking as well, though his muscles are strangely only applied to like the shoulders and arms. He's got a bit of a beer belly as well. He's in extremely fine dress, a long purple cloak, white ruffled collar, and this like red waistcoat. It kind of clashes with these little gold bits, but he is very fancy and doesn't really seem to care. He's dressed. His legs are in these blue and white vertical striped pantaloons. He's clearly a Shari, though he's got this bright orange hair and beard and these piercing blue eyes. He carries this black cane with him and just walks right in past you and sort of taps it on the bar. And he kind of regards you all curiously for a moment before kind of raising an eyebrow. He says, "So, you are the ones facing off against the world, eh?"
I don't know about the world.
That is a description that fits everybody, no?
But you seem to have much more of an interest in making a difference. It is nice to see. And this is a lovely place, I might add. He sort of gestures to the bar in general.
And who exactly are you?
My apologies. My name is Dukir. And he gives you a little bow.
You spell on that in the chat.
Yeah.
Have I heard of this Dukir?
You may make me a history check.
11.
11. You have not, though. From his demeanor, you think he's probably some merchant who made it big, and kind of lives in the southeast of the city. But apart from that, yeah, you haven't really got a clue. And he says, "Well, I would be interested in helping fund your little endeavor. Buy my way in. If that would be something you were interested in."
And how exactly did you find us?
Oh, one hears many things whispered in the Shar.
Forgive me, but the enemies or the individuals that whisper about us tend to be our enemies.
No, of course not.
Save
People
for,
all... what were you saying, sorry?
I was going to say save for the things that we pay Smir to say.
Yes, delightful fellow. But I must say, I heard of you from more interested sources. They were talking about how you single-handedly single-handedly cleared out the Vakar, and you fought your way through the warehouse of a certain slaver to free his slaves. That was fantastic.
You have an interest in freeing slaves?
Not particularly, but I have an interest in talented people, and I would like to invest. I feel this place would become a hit. Shall we say 50,000 gold? And he
That's
reaches
quite.
in. He reaches into his jacket, sort of satchel type thing, and he pulls out a large bag of platinum and a roll of parchment.
That is quite a generous offer. What do you expect to have?
I am a very generous man, but it would just be a small favor whenever I see fit. Nothing too serious. You can read over the contract. And he hands you this contract, and
But
you
I will take it.
Yeah, and you have a look, and it says, I, the undersigned, hereby accept the most generous funding of Dukir, the glorious master of the Eastlands. In return for a favor, the funding will comprise of 50,000 gold pieces payable immediately. The favor will be one of Dukir's choice and is redeemable at any time. The favor may include, though is not limited to, murder, espionage, theft, sexual favors, seduction, slavery, and or kidnap. I hereby rescind my right to deny Dukir his favor, and I further rescind my right to my personal freedom should Dukir see fit. Signed, and then there's a dotted line at the bottom.
This is unacceptable, and Abrashmina will hand it back to him.
What?
Not without. No.
Unacceptable.
Murder, assassination, kidnap, espionage, sexual favors, and we give up our rights to our personal freedom should we deny you? No, this is no good. Not fair.
You see his fist clench and his jaw tense up, and his hands start shaking slightly, and he says, "It is just a contract line in there in case to protect me in case you try not to pay on your favor. That is ridiculous."
It is also, what is this? But not like he said that we might be slavers in like the or capture slaves in the things that we might do for him.
No, it's in the chat, the contract.
Oh, thanks. Sorry.
No worries. No, murder, espionage, theft, sexual slavery, seduction.
So it's not limited to.
And or kidnap. No.
So
He
that
says,
means it could include all of those, correct?
Yeah. The favor may include, though is not limited to.
So what is a favor that includes slavery?
Oh,
I don't know. It was just a line. I'm offering you 50,000 gold.
I mean, we could take that out. Take out the sexual favors
and seduction.
I mean, that could be fun, depending on exactly what the favor is.
Abrashmina makes a face.
That is unacceptable. If you do not accept my contract, I will take it elsewhere.
Okay.
And he steps forward and he jabs you with his cane, Bryn, and he says,
Okay.
"You will regret that, human."
Hold on a second.
Spins on his heel.
You're
all right, I was going to make a counter offer, but all right.
He's not interested in counter offers.
Yeah.
And so he heads out, slams the door, and you hear him angrily kind of talking to himself as he stalks away.
I was going to offer him a drink, but I do not think he was in the mood.
I was going to say take out some of the undesirable language and do half up front and then half when we complete the favor, but
I have seen many like him. He is not used to not getting his way. If he throws a fit at the mere mention of the mere idea of our reticence, then he is not worth dealing with.
Have we made another enemy?
Almost definitely.
So you don't hear anything else from this man or about this man for almost the entirety of the rest of the day. And in fact, the rest of the day. And the next morning, when it comes around, Declan is back at his home, moving more of his stuff. You hear another knock at the door, but this time it is much lighter, and is a different person. When you open the door, you see Thal standing before you. His kind of head's ducked, and he's like, may I come in, please?
Of course. I was practicing. What is it, Uvir? And Abrashmina like pulls out like a little like recipe book that like Uvir has like given her.
Yeah.
I was
Awesome.
making a cibris. Would you like?
Oh, yeah, yes, please. That would be very nice.
And then Abrashmina goes to like mix the drink together. I'm imagining like Makud is there with like one of like the big, like we got like a cup that's just like the same size as like the one he had over at the butcher shop.
Definitely. Yeah,
And
one made.
Yeah, it's got like, his morning ale in it.
Yeah. And so Thal like sits up next to the bar, and he sort of turns to you and he says, so well, it was a little while ago. I'm not sure if you remember. And he's talking to you, Abrashmina, and he says, you promised you would help Maya and me if we asked. And he looks like super nervous about asking.
Of course.
Well, we have a favor. If you would that be okay?
Well, it depends on the favor.
Oh,
I do not wish to promise to do anything that would be, not that I think that you would ask me to do anything.
No, I understand. I'm sorry. Well, the favor is, well, she's a little bit ill at the moment. She's in bed. But we had some friends of ours, and they were attacked, and we don't know who did it, and we can't really find who, and it's not really something we want to bring the Six Eyes into, but you could help us, yes?
Yes, I will help. Is Maya okay?
Oh, she is okay. She had a little bit too much sun, and she forgot her amulet. She always forgets to charge it up.
Well, Abrashmina nods because heat stroke in foreigners is common.
Yeah. And he says, well, if that would be okay, if you could just help me have a look. I'm not very good at finding things like this.
Of course, I will help you.
Will your friends help me too?
Well, I cannot speak for them. Makud, would you like to help Thal and his friends?
Makud kind of like he hasn't really looked at the conversation going on. I guess I don't know how early in the morning it is or something, but he's just tending his beer, apparently his breakfast beer. And
the most important beer of the day.
It's just a beer, but it's got some cornflakes floating in it.
Sets you up just right. It's a white Russian.
It really brings the day together.
Or a white calend. Yeah, he'll like slowly turn. You also notice that, I mean, he tends to keep his weapons close, but the axe is like leant against the bar, and I imagine the hammer is still in the repair shop, as it were, somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
He'll like turn to you and go, well, I don't think I have anything else to do. We lifted all of the heavy things. And he kind of like looks, and I guess the place looks a bit better or a bit more put together.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it's come together a bit more. Like the tables are all organized and they've been kind of polished. And like the stools that you're sitting on have been like new ones that you bought, so they're quite comfortable. And yeah, I guess like just another quick description of Thal, like very short, very skinny. He's got this like white skin because he's a half moon elf, but it's got like these patches of it that are just like bright white, like one sort of across his face and eye, in a kind of seemingly random shape. He's wearing his bright pink like poncho type shawl. And he has the hood up when he goes outside, but he's got it down in here. And he just turns to you, Makud, and he says, "Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Makud."
Is Bryn down here for this conversation? I'm assuming, but
Yeah, I imagine she's probably over arguing with Schmear about something to do with the stage, and maybe he wants some half orc singers, and she's having none of it.
Yeah, it's just like you definitely see that there's a theme of like all the acts he's brought through have been extremely busty and not that great at singing. And he's,
I mean,
he's
I
just,
get it.
He's just saying things like,
Look at her. She's a star. She's going to be the face of a show in 2 years. I guarantee it.
I get it. She's easy on the eyes, but she has no talent.
It doesn't matter about talent. She's got that physical talent. You know what I'm saying?
I understand, but they have to have talent if they're going to play on my stage.
Hey, baby.
and he like clicks at the woman. He's like,
Come on, sing us a song.
and she just like breaks into this like really off tune, like her voice like cracks at the high notes. She just has no range, but she can do like the low Adele parts really well.
He's like, listen to that. That is pure gold.
I mean, maybe for like some open mic night, but not for the opening night.
Open mic night. Great idea.
Exactly.
I say we get 5, 6 of these honeys. We get them in here. We put them up on stage and we just let them do whatever they want.
Nope. Abershmina will murder us.
I got a giant pot of honey in the back, you know.
Oh, God.
That'll really get the people involved. It'll be interactive.
Oh, God.
Okay. I can do better. Hey, I can do better. I promise.
All right.
He just like scuttles out, like swearing under his breath, completely ignoring the random woman, who I guess is also now leaving, bright red and thoroughly offended.
I mean, it was, maybe some practice, a coach.
She just like grabs a coat and like
It's a cantrip. It's really easy to learn.
yeah, it's minor illusion, right?
The
Make
bard
yourself-
cantrip, yeah.
Bryn will walk over and order some breakfast whiskey.
Most important whiskey of the day.
Are you sure you do not want a cocktail? I am trained to practice. And she like starts flipping through her little recipe book for a whiskey cocktail.
Right now, I need to forget the last 4 acts that man brought into this bar.
Abrashmina nods and just hands you a bottle.
I just want to add to this the breakfast liquid scene, liquid breakfast. Like Makud has the huge mug, because you're practicing, there's like half a dozen little dainty glasses with like umbrellas and little palm trees in that are just all around him. Because you're just experimenting.
And I imagine
with him.
Abrashmina's like super focused on like the presentation. Like she'll like instead of just giving you the drink like 5 minutes ago when you were thirsty, she's like spent that time like preening the little palm tree she's putting in it or whatever.
She's like
Making sure the garnish is even.
Yeah, she's like has like a few where like there's like a little sprig of rosemary that she's like burning over an open flame like very carefully and like wafting the smoke.
She's surrounded by rejected lemon swaths that she's tried to take but have been like too deep, too fine. Like there's just like, nope, can't have that one. She goes through like a whole lemon for each drink, just trying to get the best piece of skin.
Yeah. The curl didn't curl right. It didn't ribbon whenever she peeled it.
So yeah, Thal would turn to you, Bryn. He'd say, Miss Brynhild, it would be really good if you would help, just because I'm not sure what happened really, and
yes, whatever. Yes, just get me out of this bar. right now.
Okay, yes. Thank you. And he'll
What are we doing?
Start chugging back his drink, trying to
Yeah.
finish it quickly.
There are some friends of his and Maya's that were attacked. Why don't you tell us what you know, Tal?
Oh yes. So when Maya and I first came to Ashar, we went to this inn that they told us to go to, called the Shalfidi. It means silver shawl. And it's really a very nice inn, but well, they don't like slavery there. One of the owners used to be a slave, and he actually got very angry at Maya because he thought that I was Maya's slave, but that's because I still have my brand under my eye, but it's gone now. And well, once they figured it out, they were very nice to us. They gave us a nice room, and it was really good. But they were attacked, and they had something very important stolen from them, and we don't know who attacked them. But you are very good at solving the puzzles and things. Yes.
Yes. What was stolen?
Oh, well, Abba, he is one of the owners, and his wife is Telha, and she is one of the owners, and she is very, very good alchemist, and she has a magical pot, and it was stolen. It's quite a big pot as well.
Do they have any idea who might have stolen it? Professional rival?
Well, they didn't really see him. It was nighttime, but he almost killed them both. But it's very strong, and Delha has magic, so they managed to chase him away, but not before he took the pot. But I don't know much more than that. They just asked if we could help, and we didn't really know who else to go to.
When was this? When was the attack?
Oh, last night.
Are they all right? Are they?
They're
Okay
okay.
to-
They're a little bit hurt and a little bit scared, but they're okay.
Would they be available to answer some questions?
Of course, of course, of course. They are my very good friends. They are very good people, and they employ people who were used to be slaves, and they give them jobs to help them save up enough money to have their brands taken off. And they have the nicest inn in the city, except this one.
Abrashmina smiles because this is like the most she's like ever heard Thal talking, and it's kind of interesting hearing him kind of ramble when he doesn't have Maya filtering him.
Yeah, and he as he says that, he's very much ducking his head submissively, apologetic for maybe offending you.
Well, I think talking to them would probably be our first step.
That would be very good of you if you could help.
Of course, we will help. Can you take us to them now?
Yes, of course, of course. This well, I don't think. I mean, they will try to pay you, I think, but if Maya said to say we should not let them because they are good people. So if you need money, we can pay it, but we don't want them to pay it. Is this okay?
Abrashmina nods with a look to Bryn to make sure that it's really okay.
You've helped us out before, so I mean, she was returning the favor, right?
Yes. Oh, that I would be very grateful. Thank you.
It is my favor to repay, but I would appreciate it if we would agree.
It might be fun. I do not go out without Maya much, so And he like ducks his head and kind of like grins slightly. It's nice. And he like jumps down off his stool. And you see he's just barefoot. And there's like a slight clink as he jumps down of like two metal objects hitting each other.
Well, let me finish my breakfast.
Of course.
And she'll knock 2 shots back and stand up to leave.
Mina is going to, because she's learning, she has like special like tester bottle. No, wait, no. She's making cocktails. She can't pour them back into the glasses. Never mind. Yeah. She's just gonna like look at like the array of drinks that she's been making all morning, and like these will be okay for later.
And so Maya kind of, or not Maya, Thal leads the three of you outside and up along the main street. You see like Smear like ducking into inns and taverns and shouting, and he gets like kicked out of one after about 10 minutes of being in there. But Thal kind of leads you up past a lot of the merchants and that kind of thing. It's actually one of the sort of slightly nicer areas of town. And you eventually arrive at the Shalfadi. And you see the sort of, the tavern sign. It's this stylized kind of silver-like piece of fabric. It's carved of wood, but it's like meant to look like a piece of fabric that's sort of blowing in the wind. And it's painted this bright silver. And the outside of it is sort of that kind of classic Ashari build, where it's this like rectangular building, but it's got a sort of dome on top that's this kind of light blue. It's quite pretty, and you step inside and it's immediately cool. And the room you're in is fairly small. It's like a kind of a foyer type situation, and sort of in front of you and to the left is a desk. There's a door right in front of you that leads out into what looks like a garden, and there's a door to the right and left of you. The door to the left is closed, and the door to the right is just a doorway, and that looks like it leads into a bar. Standing behind the bar is an Ashari woman. She has like the sort of long braided hair, and she's very, very pretty, like sort of classic like high cheekbones, and she is wearing this kind of like understated like light green like typical Ashari dress, and her face lights up when she sees Thal, and then her eyes go slightly wide when she sees Makud, and she says, "Oh, Thal, it is good to see you." And she like opens her arms, and Thal just like bounds up and gives her a hug. And he says, "I brought my friends. They are very good at solving problems. So they want to ask you some questions and maybe help catch the person." And the woman is like, "Oh, that's very kind of you. Would you introduce me?" And so Thal kind of brings her over and says, "This is Telha. This is Abrashmina, Makud, and Brynhild." And Telha's smiling. "Very nice to meet you all." And is met with apparent silence.
Abrashmina gives like a nod and extends a hand.
Can I just ask, is the dome above us now, or is it like above the whole
The
building?
dome would be above you now.
So like Makud like stretches out, which he doesn't get to do very often in the building, and like huge muscles and shoulder movements and the rest of it, and he goes, "It is good to be in a place that can fit me.
So actually, it's worth pointing out this building or this room, and the bar seems the same, is like very much designed to be cold. The walls are all this kind of blue glittering tile, and the floors are also tile. And it's again a sort of silvery blue color, and it's very cool. Like you step in, and it's like stepping into an air conditioned room. And it's very like upper class but understated. You know, it's not lavish like a lot of places in Ashar are. It's somewhere in between, and it's very like classy, very quiet. It seems like a really nice place to have a drink, but not a very nice place to get drunk, if that makes sense. And she says, well, yes, we you are very big, but so is my husband, so we like to have a big space.
Small quirk of the eyebrow.
He is not as big as you, though, don't worry.
Oh, good.
So I understand you're here to help us find our attacker.
Are you free to talk here, or would you prefer to go someplace else?
It might be better someplace else. I can get Abba as well. He is, he was there too, so he might be able to remember things I don't. Is that okay?
Perfect.
And she sort of like leans her head into the bar and just calls for him. You notice that she pronounces his name Ubby, though Bryn, you recognize when Thal said Ubba is a very Callan name. And you do see like a very, very tall, very muscular, like this man's a fucking barbarian, like immediately. That's obvious. He's not wearing a shirt. And there's like beads of sweat on his brow. And he's wearing, just like some fairly standard trousers. You see he's got this sort of fair hair and beard, but the beard's trimmed shorter than a lot of Callans have. And you see he's got a really hideous scar under his left eye. Makood, roll me a history check.
That is a 19 minus.
Okay,
2.
actually, you should have had advantage, but that's good enough anyway.
Yeah.
You know this man. He fought in the Vakar for a time. He was a slave who won his freedom. He was known as the Northern Nightmare and used to use a particularly large hammer to just crush his opponents. He was sort of the closest thing you had to like a real contender for a little while, maybe like 6 months before he retired and earned his freedom, and you kept going. He would be a bit of a legend if you hadn't come along and sort of trounced every single one of his records. But he was sort of like the OG kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And his eyes sort of widen when he sees you, and he says, Amarutu, it is good to see you. And he holds out like a big meaty hand for a fucking predator handshake.
It is met. Do you need me to make a grapple check?
Just everyone's hair gets blown a little bit.
Yeah.
And he says, I had heard you earned your freedom. This true?
Makood kind of, while they're still handshaking, he kind of, tips his eyes up towards the horn that he wears the thing dangling from.
And he says,
the freedom is mine, just like it was yours.
That is good to see. I say, you ever come by our inn? There's always a drink for you on the house.
And I shall be around a lot. And he kind of boisterously. I think there's a little bit of arm wrestling without a table.
There's very much a
Like you said,
yeah.
the thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a thing, but he's sort of mellowed out a lot. There's streaks of grey in his beard, and he's starting to get like maybe mid-40s, and he's beyond fighting. He's still in great shape though, and he's not as proud as he once was. So he's happy, and he says, "So you here to help us out with our little problem?"
Any problem of yours is a problem of mine.
That is much appreciated. And he sort of he takes his two fingers, his first two fingers on his right hand, and sort of taps them just above his heart. And Talha says, "Well, shall we go into a side room just so we can have a conversation in private?"
Yes, we
And
wish to help you with recover your stolen item.
Thank you so much. We're very grateful, she says as she's like leading you. And she opens the door on the left, and there's like a small atrium, and then it enters into what is pretty obviously like their kind of living section of the inn. And it's not huge. There's like the bed is sort of around the corner behind a curtain, so it's you can't see it from here. And there's like a couple of plants and that sort of thing, and some like cushions to lay out on, and a small kitchen area. It's kind of like a really, really nice studio apartment. And like they could have had it bigger if they wanted, but they've used a lot of the room for their inn, and they seem happy. And so they sort of offer you seats, offer you drinks, that kind of thing. Just general hospitality. And they say, what can we do? What do you need?
What can you tell us about what happened?
Right, of course. Well, Abby and we were asleep last night, and while we were sitting there, Abby woke up, and he woke me, and he said he thought there was someone inside. And so he picked up his hammer, and he poked his head outside the curtain, but there was no one there. So we stood up, and we had a look around, and then all of a sudden, from nowhere, someone just appeared behind him and scratched his back and stabbed him. And like Abu sort of turns his shoulder, and there's like some freshly dressed wounds there, though they look like they've been very well dressed. And like there's some sort of like herbal poultice there.
Do you need healing?
He shakes his head and shrugs. It's no, it's a flesh wound. It's nothing more. And Dalha sort of like,
do I believe him?
Make an insight check.
He's actually dying.
I know, right? 15.
Okay, so there's a few things you get. Firstly, he does not want to receive healing in front of Makud. Secondly, you think this guy's insanely tough, and he probably isn't that worried about it, and he's had a lot worse. See his face. Thirdly, you notice that like the wounds are really well taken care of. There's no redness that you can see at all, which means that there's no infection, and like they've been very well dressed. And so you think Falha's probably a fucking wizard with alchemy and potions and whatnot. So yeah, you gather he's probably okay. He doesn't need it. But it might all that you could do for him is speed up the healing and take away some of his pain, but he doesn't seem that bothered about pain.
The offer stands, she'll say.
That is kind of you. So as Telha says, I was attacked from behind. Then the bastard turned and he brought his dagger up to her throat. But I charged at him and I smashed him in the chest with my hammer. But he got back up. He looked quite skinny, but he just stood right back up. And I yelled at him, told him to get away. So he just ran and he grabbed Velha's magic pot and jumped out the window. And he points and like you can see like sort of scuff marks around the sort of like curtained window, and like part of the shades are ripped. We've never seen this man before. He was a Shari, but I don't know. He was strange.
Do you think he came specifically for the pot? Is it
It's hard to
well-known?
say, but he went out of his way to take it. I think he must have heard about it somehow.
It is what he came for.
I think so. And Thelha sort of nods and says, it is quite well known. It belonged to my mother, and she was quite a famous alchemist, so it is quite a powerful item. And in the wrong hands, it could do a lot of bad things.
What does it do?
Well, it's used for brewing potions and the like, but the potions it makes are particularly strong and can be made particularly fast. I would be worried if someone were to create poisons or worse with it, because who knows? It can also be used to forge and fix items if used properly. Meld their properties together to make new things. It is a wondrous piece. Average you can actually make a history check.
Ooh, dope. I wish I was better at them. 10.
10. You have definitely heard of like a magic pot before, like a sort of alchemy pot. You've definitely like read a story about it. You can't quite remember all the details. You remember there was like a story of someone who like put a sword and like some charcoal in it and made like a flaming sword or something like that. But you're just like, it's like a story I used to love as a kid, but I just can't quite remember the details.
I'm getting them confused with the pots from the Vakar. It's like, and
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
no, that's not right.
Oh no, not a magic pot.
It doesn't come to life. That is silly.
I was going to say Makud was going to mention it. Just like it's just like looking at the app where the pot isn't, that like the gap in the, there might be something on the floor or something, and he's just like to Ubba, just like, I fought a pot. Quite a few of them actually.
You what?
There was these pots. They were
pot?
alive at the Vakar. Only no one was watching, apart from that Suvma, I guess. And then there was a giant pot.
We were watching Makud.
It kind of glows a little.
I think you may need to work on your defense a little, Makud. It sounds like you've been hit on the head too many times.
And by glows, I don't mean like Yova glows, but he like points to Mina, like who said she was watching, like there was a giant pot.
Yes, it was as big as the worm that came out of the Vakar a few weeks ago. And she kind of like gestures with her hands and had the black sand that burned.
Right.
And then they ate the wyvern, and then I adopted the babies, and
Okay, can we get back to
You see Alba and Thalha like give each other a look and then look at Thal, and Thal just like shrugs.
All right. So, did you have anyone staying here that was asking questions about
We only had one guest, but he is not. Well, he was not asking questions. He is a very quiet man. But he was staying in one of our upsuite rooms. But
He is still here.
yes, he is.
Did you ask if he had seen or heard anything last night?
No,
Do you think he would be opposed if we asked him if he heard anything or saw anything?
I don't think so. He's quite quiet, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Perhaps when we are done. She looks at Bryn and to see if this is a good line of inquiry to go.
Bryn will kind of incline her head. So, do you have any professional rivals?
Oh, I mean, there are lots of inns in the city, but none quite like ours, I suppose.
I was meaning more towards alchemists who might wish to get their hands on a magic pot.
Yes, has
think-
anyone asked to if they could purchase it from you?
Oh, many people, many people.
Recently?
Yes, there was one recently.
Anyone that was angry when you said no?
He did get a bit angry, and she turns to Abba, and Abba's like, yes, he well, I had to stand behind Delha after that. He was not happy.
Does this individual have a name?
He did not give one, I don't think.
Can you describe him?
Yes, he was quite short. Had black hair. He wore these green and blue robes. I think that's it really. He wasn't very exciting looking.
She's basically describing just about everybody, or at least 50% of the population.
Yeah, that's a good deal of.
Abrashmina will look to Bryn and we saw someone with blue and green robes the other day in the waterways, and she doesn't want to say the skeleton, but maybe kind of tries to prod her memory because she can't.
Was this
Do you
skeleton in blue
Do
green?
you have? Yeah, he wore blue green robes. It might just be Mina stretching a bit, but does Bryn have minor illusion?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, maybe see if they recognize the robes. Not the dead skeleton, but it might be a thing. Maybe.
Okay.
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 So you show them the robes, and they kind of look at each other and they're like, not quite. They were similar. I think maybe the same maker, but no, they had a bit of a trim around the bottom. It was red.
Okay. Bryn will minor illusion the pot, and this is what the pot looked like that we fought.
Makud is just pointing at it.
Both the eyes just go wide. That is not like my pod. But
I love the idea that it starts with one of the small ones, and then the minor illusion zooms out, and there's a big one.
and thousands of small ones all over it,
Yeah.
like a crocodile with its babies. Yeah, and so they say, yeah, I think it's maybe the same maker, but I don't know.
And the shoddy man, yes?
Yes, he was a shari.
We go talk to this guest, and
Do you have pictures of the pot? Is it unique looking in any way?
Oh, yes, it's very unique looking. I think I have a picture of my mother with it. And she sort of goes and kind of looks through. And she opens a drawer and pulls out a stack of like old kind of paintings that have been done on like canvas. It's the sort of thing where it's like, you know, when you move house and you got all those pictures that you plan on putting up, but they stay under the bed for
Mm-hmm.
2 years. It's like that. And she pulls one out and she shows it to you, and it's of this sort of young, like basically body double of Thelha. And she has, she's working with this pot that's probably like the size of like Abrishmina's torso. Like it's pretty huge. It is like this sort of like jade green color. But on it, it's got all these like stylized pictures of these kind of interesting scenes. Like you see, like there's a dragon and he's fighting like a man on a horse. And there's like these apes swinging from trees, and there's just all these weird kind of lucid pictures that cover the surface of it. And there's like light pouring out the top of it as the woman is like dropping some kind of fruit or something in there.
Abrashmina studies it intently.
Very well.
That looks almost like the champion glass that I drink from. It's about a similar size.
Right. Well, that's very good, Makud. Would you like to talk to the guests now?
Yes, please, if you do not mind.
Of course, of course. Abby, you go back to the bar. I'll take them. And she sort of like pats him on the shoulder, and he just nods and gets up. Thank you all for your help. We really appreciate it. And he walks out. And Thelha leads you out kind of after him, but goes through the door by the desk and out into the garden. And you see it's just this beautiful water garden. There's basically 3 pools of water and little rivers that run between them, and waterfalls and features. And there's it's just like exotic plants like yuccas and all this sort of thing, palm trees like everywhere. It's this sort of little section of paradise. And you see you're in basically a courtyard that's surrounded by these 3 walls that are like not visible from the front, but from above or like from the side or whatever, you'd see this building's actually way larger than it looks. And it's kind of like almost a motel setup where it's like outdoor doors to each person's room, and there's 2 levels. There's a lower level, and then there's some stairs and an upper level. And she leads you up the stairs and along to one of the rooms, and she knocks on it. And you hear a voice inside kind of call out like muffled, like, "One moment." And then there's some stumbling and some like swearing and the sounds of a belt being put on. And
Makud like loudly whispers, like leans down a bit to me and go, "They have a much nicer bar than we do."
It is near the palace, yes? Right? It is? I thought I heard
In the nice area.
it's nearer, but it's, you know, it's not in the rich area, but it's in a richer area than
I see, I see.
a lot of the shop.
Understood.
It's the middle class area.
The Shalfadi has been open a very long time.
Thank you for your kind words. Thelha like smiles. But it's there's a little bit of like, hell yeah, we got a nice bar. Like a bit of pride, but she's genuinely pleased with what you're saying. And a man opens the door. He is sort of this very tall, stooped figure, extremely thin. His skin is he's lamentin, and his skin is like very sallow. Looks like it's slowly melting off him, and it's kind of got this yellowish parchment tinge to it. His hair, he's going bald, and he's like tried to sort of comb it over, and it's oiled. But it's like, he's fighting a losing battle. Like it's basically a few lines of hair that have kind of been combed flatly across the front of his forehead, and it goes back. You can see scalp to about the middle of his head. He's got these like weird kind of dark blue eyes, crooked teeth. But his nose is like Guru's nose, like it's huge and hooked. It looks, if you saw him from afar, you might think he's some kind of falcon.
Craig?
He does have a certain crakeness about him, but he is not Craig.
Okay.
This
His
is-
what?
Retired Craig.
yeah. This is
80
Craig.
years later.
No, Craig had a little bit more dignity about him, apart from the like birds he kept in his robes and whatnot. And this man is in like this sort of white like undershirt and these black trousers. And he's got that like weird old man, like tiny little beer belly sort of thing. And he says, "Yes, what is it?" And Thal says, well, these lovely people would just like to ask you a couple of questions about the break-in last night. That's sort of like looks down his nose at you as though it were a telescope, kind of regards you. His eyes linger on Makud for a moment longer.
Very well, make it quick.
We will not take up too much of your time. We just
Well,
wanted to.
You saying that is taking up more time than necessary, so come on.
And you interrupting me is taking up even more time.
Well, this is just going to be a long circle, isn't it? So just ask your questions.
Right. Did you see anything last night?
No, I was asleep. Are we done here?
Did you hear anything?
I may have, yes.
Could you describe what you heard?
Like rolls his eyes. Well, I saw several things, to be honest, I heard several things, to be honest. But primarily, I heard the sounds of conflict from downstairs, which I understand was my hosts fighting back. I also heard that there was a certain pot that was stolen. I heard footsteps running, and someone splashed and almost fell into one of the pools, I believe, as I definitely heard some kind of watery commotion. And furthermore, I heard someone swearing very loudly, and the clatter of something that sounded like a plate, or maybe some kind of bowl, or actually, it could have been anything so long as it was made of metal.
You heard all of these things, and you didn't think to look outside.
My business is my own. And on that note, actually, everyone can make perception checks if you're looking past him into his room. Like he's standing in the doorway.
18.
18.
22.
Similarly,
22.
I think 18. No, 19.
Oh, damn.
Ah.
I beat
Okay.
Amina.
So Mina and
I told you I
Makud,
was gonna roll bad.
Makud, you notice that there's lots of he's got lots of clothes hanging up in there, and there's lots of black robes. A lot of them have like skull motifs on them. Bryn, you notice the end of a bone sticking out past the bottom of his bed. Like there's a bone behind his bed, and you can just see kind of one end of it. It's quite a large bone, so you don't think it's any kind of food remnants per se.
What exactly is your business?
It is my own and is none of yours. Now, are we done here?
Really,
Close the door.
I'll step my foot into
Now you are
Stop.
being most rude.
And he like looks to Thalha like, are you going to let them treat your guest like this? And
Well,
she sort of like flounders slightly, not sure what to say.
I'm just wondering if the authorities would be interested in knowing that there's someone with a body in their room.
What? That is preposterous.
I mean, I
But
can clearly see
that is
bones.
trick of the light. Red, I really must go.
And he's like smashing the door against your foot.
With Bryn pointing it out, do I see it?
Sure.
Do I recognize what bone it is?
Make a medicine check.
Like what part of the body it belongs to? 16.
Looks suspiciously like the end of a knee cap. Like part of the
Patella.
construction of a kneecap. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Human, definitely.
More than likely.
Yeah, Abrash Mina will add her meager strength to Bryn keeping the door.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like, point McCood to do it. Okay, you can push if you want. I thought you were just gonna like snap McCood.
Yeah, no, sure.
And
Abrash Mina will like look at Makud and give him the he
And you
doesn't
see-
have a family eyes.
Thalha sort of like takes a few steps back and her eyes are wide. She's like, and she keeps looking down.
May I ask, Rob, since I saw black robes with skulls before I saw bone, how does he who watches feel about necromancy? Is bad, yes.
It's bad. Though he who watches tends not to be like his people are definitely not very zealous about killing it, just because death and he who watches are inevitable, to quote Thanos. So he sees it more of a delay than some horrible perversion. So yeah, he's not a fan of it, but like he's not like hunt down the necromancers.
It's not a perversion to the natural order.
No, just because everything will come to him in the end,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like that with a lot of things. Like
he is a neutral god. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you know everything and you know everyone who dies will be judged by you and brought to you, like someone delaying that a little bit isn't that big a deal.
All right.
And so Thalha's like looking down like towards the bar where Ubba is, like nervously, and the man says,
necromancy has never been outlawed in a Shah. It is fine. And he's like feebly trying to push it.
No one said anything about that, but do you have to disclose if you're practicing necromancy when you say
I mean,
it's like you're a registered
There's a list.
You have to go like knocking on doors and be like, excuse me, do you have any pets buried in your backyard? If so, I am going to be performing a ritual tonight that might bring them up. Do not panic. They just pet them and they will go on their way.
McCood is kind of like he likes Ubba a lot now because like he fought him and he survived, and he seems very chill with him, and even in a place of death, if you can be quite nice to each other, then it means a lot to McCood. So he is actually like really concerned that Del is looking like really worried. He doesn't know if the confrontation is worrying her, or like they're in their home and they're starting to get a little ramped up, or is it the necromancy, or like he's.
So initially, Thalha's getting like worried about the fact that you're just started like immediately like shaking this dude down.
Sure.
And then when she hears the necromancy thing, she like steps back and like rubs her forehead, and she just is like, "Oh God, this is not what I needed today."
Sure, because like he's really cautious, like a good puppy or something necessarily doesn't want to like go around and smash smash his friend's house up or whatever.
He's
Like,
been housebroken.
I mean, you don't know his past. Just Makud was worried. He doesn't want to, let rip.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
she's like worried. And also it's like a really old man, right?
He's pretty old.
It's not.
It's hard to tell his age because he looks just so disgusting. But you would maybe put him like 50s.
Sure. Makud is just kind of like mostly looking at her, just gonna not like smash the door down. He's just gonna add his hand to the door and just slowly push it round, even with this guy on it. I imagine.
Come on, this is unnecessary. This is assault.
No, it's just
Intrusion into my property.
how did you obtain the piece of leg? The owner does not mind that you have it, I hope.
He like stumbles back like into the room and sort of props himself up. And you see the like piece of leg slowly sit up, and it's just a whole leg, skeletal, like the skeleton of a leg that puts itself together and like hops out into the middle of the room. And he just starts like trying to push it back down, but it's not really listening to him, and it's sort of like dodging around to try and just bounce around.
He says, "It was a perfectly reasonable transaction. It has nothing to do with you or your people, so please leave."
I don't really even care about the leg. I just need you to be honest about what you saw and what you heard.
So he kind of like lets out a sign, just boots the leg, and it sort of crumples and then reforms and like goes and jumps on his bed. And you see there's like a few hands in the sink in his room that sort of like and these are like partially decomposed, and it looks like he was trying to clean them, but they're sort of just like playing with the soap and just sort of like squirting it or like like squeezing it and sending it flying.
And he says, "Okay, if I tell you everything, will you please leave me alone?"
Sure. But you gotta tell me everything.
Very, very well. This is an absolute disgrace. Well, I may have peered out of my window when the commotion was going on, and I saw the man, the assailant, the intruder.
Mm-hmm.
He climbed out of the window carrying a pot.
Yes. Okay.
He accidentally put his foot in one of the pools down there, and I believe he dropped something. I think it was a pin or a dagger or a plate or something. I couldn't quite see. It was very dark.
He dropped it into the pool.
Yes. And then he ran away, and I closed my blinds and continued my work in peace on my own.
Did you recognize him at all?
I did not. I could not see his face. It was too far away.
Okay. Have you had anyone asking you about the pot or anything like that?
The pot? Oh,
Well-
that pot. No, I do not dabble in wasteful magic like alchemy.
You've had, so no one kind of skulking around looking
Of course not. I've been very busy.
with your own business, right?
Of course.
Do I believe that that's all he's...
You may make an insight check. Almost said that in his voice there. You may make an insight check.
That is going to be a 22.
You think he's very angry and like being very defensive about his profession, but yeah, you think he's been fairly forthcoming just out of desperation to get you to leave him alone.
That wasn't so hard, was it?
Hi.
We appreciate your time. I hope you have a good stay here in Ashar and the Shalfadi. If perhaps you would like to purchase some refreshments in a few days' time, the Mirage will be opening soon. Nabrashmina says, bro.
Oh wow! You come into their house and they advertise your bar. It's a bold move, me
You
now.
have nothing from James Charles.
I don't know who that is.
Oof. You're probably better for not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so dumb. Anyway, so he says, well, I generally only drink milk, but if I make
We have milk. Makud likes, or so. Somebody, we made the joke. Somebody
White
likes the
Callan.
White
white.
Callan.
We have white. I am very good at the white callens because it's
well,
just mixing milk and rum, so
I
it's
suppose
super easy for her to make. And
I
Kahlua.
I suppose if you have need of necromantic services and are willing to pay, I could be amenable to that, but I need
Keep that in
privacy.
mind.
No,
All
good
right, friend.
day to you all.
All right, so we go find this mystery item.
Mm-hmm.
So you as you turn to leave, you accidentally kick a jawbone that's on the floor, and he just lets out a little wince. Damn it! And slams the door behind you. And Delha's well, that is interesting. I suppose it makes sense why he's so private. I must speak to Abby about this.
I'm terribly sorry.
Oh, it's quite all right. I would not have known if you had not been so what is the word?
Insistent?
Yes. Feel free to search around as much as you want. I am going to go speak to Abby. She skitters down the stairs.
We shall go investigate the pool.
All right, peeps, make me an investigation check, please.
Brynhild can do it with guidance and advantage as Abrashmina helps.
Hell yeah!
Makud finds nothing.
Did you roll?
Yes, terribly. And then add negatives. He's in the wrong pool, probably. To be honest.
He's still looking around the dude's room. The dude slammed the door, thinking everyone had gone, and Makood's still in there.
Just up against a wall.
The guy just turns over and is "Oh! I did not realize you were still here. But tell your friends they have need of necromantic services. They may contact Yorinex the Black.
I have mastered the art of standing so very, very still that I'm invisible.
I need
Cannot be seen.
I need that name in chat.
So we're gonna call this how many ways Jade can roll 22.
Okay. So looking around, you do eventually find something. You reach down into the pool and you see that there's these beautiful green or not green, orange and red fish that are sort of lazily swimming around, and they sort of come up and brush against your hand as you put it in. But you reach in and take out this black ring. It's made of this weird kind of light, very, very light metal. And it's been cut kind of like a diamond. So rather than being round, it's sort of planes, if that makes sense.
Faceted?
Geometric.
Sure. Yeah, I think I know.
I'm a faceted metal. Yeah, I'm picturing it.
Instead of being circular, it's like a zigzag.
Kind of, yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Like someone's basically stuck it on a lathe, on different sides to sort of make the overall shape round, but it's made up of straight lines. Obviously, the bit you put your finger in is round.
It's a pixelated.
It looks like a shitty ring you'd get on Amazon for £4. But on the on one of the faces is a very, very tiny circle with a long-legged bird taking flight. Looks maybe like some kind of heron or something. I will say Ashari locals. You may make a history check if you wish.
I was going to say, we're next to an oasis. There's probably fuck tons of herons and things like that.
Oh, jeez, I've been rolling
Flamingos.
so bad.
Roll with advantage, did you say, because we're locals? Or
I just said you can make a roll because you're local.
that did not make any difference.
In fact, I will say, Bryn, you can roll as well because you've probably heard a story or song about this guy. This ring.
Mm,
Oops.
Yeah, I actually rolled good for once. 18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
this is history.
Yeah.
17.
Okay, you don't know. But average Mina, 18 was actually the DC for this. I shit you not.
Yay.
This immediately piques your interest. This is the insignia of a very, very famous word I am looking for. Vigilante.
Vigilante.
He was known as the Black Heron, and he was this kind of swashbuckling, like very kind of skilled, very fast. No one could ever catch him. He wore all black, and he kind of fought against the establishment. He's sort of like a mix between Zorro and Robin Hood. He actually killed 2 of the Moon Elves and freed all of their slaves. And he slaves who would be executed, he would always like come in at the last second and save them, and it was a very like theatrical sort of experience. Yeah, very much so. But he disappeared about 50 years ago, and no one has seen him since. But this ring is 100% his insignia on it.
I share all this with the others.
So we're looking for a myth,
or someone that is
legend.
wishing to invoke his name for some reason.
But why take the pot?
Perhaps there is something he plans on doing with it. We could ask Thelha and Ubi. She mispronounces the name.
So, Bryn, you're getting like a little bit of magic off this ring. Fairly faint, but definitely noticeable. It's got that sort of slight thrum to it.
All right, I'll go sit beside a pool and take some time and cast Identify.
Okay. How long does that take?
It'd be 10 minutes.
Okay. So, quickly then, while the others are doing that, or while she's doing that, what are the others doing? Staring, watching her.
Just prodding her in the face like she's gone catatonic.
What are you doing? How are you doing that?
Yeah. Do you want to go and tell them now?
Yes, perhaps they might be able to. Maybe some context will help them.
Very well. So you head into the bar and you find Ubba and Delha like in conversation, and it's like a low heated couple conversation. And you hear,
He's a necromancer. He could be doing all manner of disgusting experiments in our room.
and Ubba's like,
Yes, but he is also a full-paying customer who's paid 2 months in advance. What do you want me to do? Go and hand him his money back? No, I'm not saying you should hand him his money back. I'm just saying we should have to.
oh, hello. Did you find something? She like turns to you, like going a little bit red around the cheeks.
We found a ring in one of the pools that had the insignia of the Black Heron.
The Black Heron. The vigilante.
Yes, the individual that attacked you last night. Did he seem of age to be the Black Heron? It has been a very long time he has been seen.
He seemed quite young.
Hmm. But anything that from his demeanor that it seemed in line with this?
I mean, he was very fast, but he was not wearing black.
He was not.
No.
What was he wearing?
Did I describe it earlier?
No.
He was wearing just
The blue and the green robes, right? Right?
yeah. That's
No,
what I
that was
thought.
that was the guy who offered to buy the pot.
Oh, of course.
Are you saying that's the same person?
Yeah.
There, Rob.
No, this guy was not wearing those.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just forgot. I'm also making up a lot of this as I go along. So.
Yeah.
No, he was wearing just beige overclothes.
Beige. That does not seem the sort of thing that the thief would wear.
No.
He is the boring heron.
The taupe terror. Sorry.
Beige.
But yes, I found a ring that had the insignia. We wanted to see if it rang any bells.
Oh well, I don't know. I mean, I would say the only thing I could think of would be the archive. You know, they might be able to help you identify it, but beyond that, I'm really not sure. She sort of like kind of frowns for a second and thought. And she says, "Well, it looked like he climbed the back wall to get out, rather than going through the door. So he was quite spry. So I suppose it was maybe the heron, but no, it couldn't be surely."
Makud, would you like to go search along the wall with me?
Really annoyingly, I was like, I've just thought about something that I wanted to ask, and I was like, I don't think Makud would know. So like, I rolled an int check, and then I rolled like another 3. Like, come on, Makud, and they all failed massively. And I was like, oh damn it. Makud is, I guess that is the next place to look.
It's just to see if there is any signs of anything else.
He nods and wanders out. God damn
So,
it! I
well,
really wish he'd.
I mean, you could always say in the group, in the hangout chat, somebody else can
I mean,
see.
yeah, it'd be better pigeon, like massively, but I also think it's
What
quite
you
important.
people do in your own Facebook chats is no concern of mine.
Oh, I know.
Jay,
I don't want to cheat.
Yeah.
your spell eventually comes to an end.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Black Heron's ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shiny black ring made of a polished obsidian. It requires attunement.
Mm-hmm.
When attuned, the wearer may add their modifiers before they double for a critical hit.
Nice.
Murderous.
Indeed.
Meanwhile, wall team, roll me some investigation checks.
Oh, goodness. Hold on. Modifiers 2. Let's see it. 3, 4.
Son of a.
Another 3.
I've been rolling. Occasionally, I've done very well this session, but mostly I've literally rolled under a 5. It has been super
I'll give you
depressing.
some things to punch. Don't worry.
It has been like 7s and 10s for me all day, dude. I feel
You've got
your
guidance.
I am.
Remember
Yeah,
I
I am guiding myself. I haven't been able to like guide myself because it's been in the moment. But she's preparing for this, so she's really focused and she's asking for guidance.
I imagine Makud is just like lifting it up,
Yes!
like over the wall. Yay!
Yes! 21.
Okay, good. Right. So you do not find any objects or anything, but you do see like scuff marks where someone's climbed this wall. And then like leading down the alley beyond, you see like very clear footprints. And you see there's like a couple drops of blood that seem to be trailing. Like, and they're sort of, some of them have been scuffed slightly in the sand, but they're still very clear.
Abarashmina will say there is a trail of blood outside. We should, when Bryn is done, we should go and follow and see where it goes.
How tall is the wall?
So like basically the way this place is like all three like of the other walls that aren't the back of the main inn are like basically hotel rooms, right? So they're like doors and a balcony, but there's like one like 10 feet section of the like left hand wall like right at the corner that is just a wall where there's no rooms where like the building is. So there's a sort of gap in the buildings, and the wall's about maybe 10 feet high.
Okay.
So you do defo have to lift Abrashmina.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
She's probably just sitting on his shoulders rather than being like lifted up to the wall.
Oh, I was thinking just sitting in the palm of his hand as he just like holds you up.
So I just like, because she's very tall herself, so her sitting on a 7-foot tall Makud would, like, her torso would put her up above like eye level of the.
I mean, she's like 5'10", isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say very tall.
She's tall for a girl.
My mum's 6'1".
Your mom is also. You're also a very, very come from a very tall family, so that is not the average height for a woman.
My mum's entire family are like below 5'5", including her mother and sister.
Yeah, so 5.
And my granddad is like 5'9", but she is just huge. We don't know.
6'1" is tall for a dude.
Yeah.
It's not common that a chick topples 6 feet tall. Anyways.
Indeed.
Anyways.
Yes. We should see if she's finished.
Could we break for tiny moments?
Of course we
She's
may.
going to splash water on Brian until she's finished concentrating.
I will be right back.
As will I.
I need to focus.
I'm enjoying this session. It's fun.
It is.
Makud has a friend.
I mean, I thought Bryn was his friend.
Another friend?
Yeah.
A friend that he doesn't live with and he can go visit.
That's not a business partner.
Very true.
Hello.
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 I am enjoying this light-hearted adventure.
I was just saying the same. It is quite good fun.
Very silliness.
By the way, it's totes okay for Euronext the Black to become a long-term NPC.
Okay.
Just FYI. You know, if
Who
you
the
want to,
what?
like-
I don't think you gave us his name, did you?
Yeah, he did. He gave it to Makud.
You're next to black.
Yeah. Is that in the chat?
It is. But it's Euronext like
Oh.
Jehovah.
Jehovah. I was just saying that that Makud has a friend he can now go visit. that
Yeah,
he doesn't live with.
a buddy.
I quite like the severed hands playing with soap in the sink. That was fun.
It's just like that guy is inspired. And Dan, I think Jay, do you watch Acquisitions Incorporated?
I do.
Uh-huh.
I haven't watched any of the ones since Perkins left, and I don't really plan to. But you know the one where like Patrick Rothfuss, Mike Krahulik have like their own adventures.
Hmm.
So you know the one that's Jim's fucking party, and it's like the solve the murder mystery of Jim, and
Yeah.
there's the necromancer there, and he's like got the belly full of bones, and he's like, "You're just being." It's like, oh, I can't remember. It's like, it's because I'm a necromancer, isn't it? And it's like that sort of thing. That was like the bolt of lightning inspiration for that character. Like I didn't know he was gonna be there until about 5 seconds after I said, "Oh yeah, there's a guest here, but he's quite quiet." And I was like, "Shit, okay, come with the guest." And then that picture of the guy just like immediately jumped into my head. But yeah, he's pretty fun.
Yes, it was. I also like the McCood's derailing of the investigation, just like, I fought that part once, and just having a little chat.
Yeah,
Makes him seem
That was
entirely
great.
crazy, but I could just imagine this huge, like McCood's huge monitor, like looking at this absent pot thing, just like making casual kind of workplace conversation with Ober, like,
yeah,
they the wyvern, and this happened, like just telling it from his kind of perspective.
yeah.
I'm back.
Lies.
Oh, Jesus.
Lies.
I mean, I believe she's back.
Fine. She's back.
I mean, I
What
can
does
leave
that
you
get us?
if,
What
it,
does that get us?
if that offends you. Jesus.
I mean,
Calm your tits.
you are literally not the boss of me.
No, I'm her boss.
You're not the boss of me.
No, not your boss. I'm C's boss.
No one's my boss.
You are a rogue state.
I am.
You've been
Jaysville,
disavowed.
USA.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, everyone good to go?
Think so.
See.
Mhm.
Very well. So we come back in. Jay, not Jay.
Yes.
That's right. Bryn has just finished her spell and has joined the other two. And you guys are like outside the wall, maybe, unless there's anything else you'd like to ask Abba and Thalha or Uranex the Black.
No.
All right. Okay then. So they sort of wave you on and thank you again, and then you head out and begin following the bloodstain. And it leads you down an alley, and then like you sort of lose the trail a little way in. Make me a survival check. Anyone?
Okay. I am casting guidance to follow this trail. I do not wish to lose it. Ooh. That is an 18 plus 3 plus 5, 28.
Damn, son. So just as you're all sort of looking around, Abrashmina, you spot like a sort of bloody like edge of a handprint on the corner of a wall. Like someone's leant up against it for a moment, and then it continues on down and into what appears to be a shop. And outside the shop are a load of old, rusted, broken cages, like bird cages.
Mm. Does it look abandoned?
No, there's like you know, a couple people going in that you see, patrons perhaps.
All right. We go inside.
Yes.
Okay, so inside, you see this like insane menagerie. There are just like cages and animals everywhere. You spot two little wyvern chicks in these really like claustrophobic cages. You see what looks to be a beetle that is like a scarab beetle, but it's the size of like a small or of a large cat, and like probably about like bigger than your head, and it's just sitting there like by the door, and it's got just a price tag like kind of stuck to the carapace, which says 5 gold. And as soon as you enter, it just begins following you, just like tick, 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 just very slowly moving after you. You see like dehydrated dogs and cats. You see like thousands of birds, and there's like bird shit just everywhere. You see there's like little monkeys and stuff that are just swinging on ropes. You see fist-sized ants all just in a bucket with a like in a big vat, sorry. And you see a bucket and it just says 10 gold per scoop. And you see like all these sort of animals, and then near the back of the shop is all these sort of like food and cages and things for looking after the animals.
I take it that the blood trail is impossible to follow in this mess now.
Very much so. And you see like there's like there's a loose cat just like licking at the floor. Like you don't think a blood spot would last long in here. There's also like you notice there's a tiny little woman kind of standing in the corner, like very precariously on a ladder. She looks to be less than 5 foot tall. She's got this really long, bushy brown hair. And she's wearing these robes that are altogether too big for her. You see the other patrons sort of duck their heads in and then head out again, not really interested. And she doesn't seem to notice you, and she's reaching for a strange kind of black jar filled with like these tiny little mini grubs.
Did it appear as though there was an apartment of some kind above or attached to this shop?
From the side you saw, no, but if you like had a peer around, there does look like a room in the back, and it's got a sort of curtain pushed up, and you can see a sort of bed back there. But it looks like a tiny space. Like she's just got a bed and a cupboard, basically.
I am going to, Abrashmina is going to kind of like walk around with a hand over her holy symbol. Like she's all like, oh, look at the small animals. This is so sad. But she's going to cast locate object.
Okay.
And she's going to think of a jade pot as.
Okay. How much range does that give you?
1,000 feet.
Okay. You do not find it.
Okay.
However, as you're doing that, you're sort of looking at these creatures, and the thing you're looking at is very weird. it looks like a sort of almost like it's a frog, but it's like it got a frog's body essentially, but it's furry. And instead of the head of a normal frog, it's got about a foot long jaw. And it looks kind of like the dog in Despicable Me, but like a tiny body and that huge mouth, and it just at you as you come close.
Yeah. She's gonna back away
And
from
the woman turns around and sees you, and she goes, "Oh!" And she like scuttles down, zooms up, like grabs your shirt and sort of pulls you closer and leans in.
it. That is.
Oh, don't you like him? He's so pretty.
Please unhand me.
She says, but she's just like not letting go and staring at the dog. And she like puts her hand in and just like immediately bites her finger. She lets out a yelp and like pulls it back. There's a bit of blood, but she just sucks it off.
Hello?
Oh, are you looking to buy? You want these crooks?
And she like holds up the cage and like shakes the dog in the cage so it starts like screeching again.
No.
Very good price. 7 gold. He'll kill all the weasels.
I
All the weasels gone?
do not have weasels, and she's going to like take her hands around the cage and kind of like force it back down so that she stops shaking the poor thing.
Okay. The dog tries to bite your hands, but it can't quite get through the cages.
Well,
This
Are you
is the
maybe
place.
looking for something else? You realize around her neck, really big green snake just hanging there. She's also got giant like bug eye glasses and a bit of a mustache going on around a sort of roundish bulbous nose and kind of a jowly face. And she has hair like Liam used to.
This is
No,
the place you
Liam.
insisted on showing me.
Yes.
oh, we've got many things. What about this? What about this? Come here.
And she like takes you over to the ants and she lifts one up. And literally they're like the size of fists. And you see her like holding it in her hand and it's like kicking its legs and then like grabs her fingers and begins like pulling them off because it's crazy strong.
She's like, look how strong it is. This could hold up a building.
Look, you want one? She tries to put it in your hand.
No, I don't want one.
Meanwhile, the giant beetle has sidled up and is just leaning itself against Makood's leg, kind of nuzzling him like a cat would.
I think Makood is like, first of all, having difficulty navigating this shop because all the
Oh,
hanging bird cages.
Definitely, it's your nightmare.
I think I hope the wyverns are relatively close to the door because
Sure.
I think he's like with the beetle nudging up against him. I think like he's trying to basically animal handle the wyverns to see how they react to him. If they,
Yeah.
I don't
These
know.
ones seem a bit more. Actually, no, they seem about as feral as your ones. Sort of snapping and biting. They look very cute to you, Makood. But they're a different color. They're sort of black and red.
Black and red. Okay. I have absolutely no idea if these will get on with the other ones, but he is drawn to at least rescuing them from this situation.
Yeah, you feel the beetle is also like kind of crawling up slightly onto your leg. Not like it's going to lift off, but just putting some feet on your leg. And the wyverns are just sort of thrashing about in their cage, like screeching and squeaking.
I also kind of like the beetle. He picks up the beetle. Does it try and eat his face?
No, it's just like flailing legs, just like.
I said I wanted an exotic pet to take home. This is not what I had in mind.
We have many exotic things. Look at this. Look at this. How about this one? This one.
She reaches into a box and pulls out what looks to be a giant maggot, but it's got like these huge sharp teeth, and she like holds it right up to your face, and it's like snapping, and it's like you can see it's like oozing like some kind of bluish green pus.
And she's like, this one. Look at it. Oh, it could eat off your warts and your hands, but very nice, very beautiful creature.
And she's like squeezing it to make more pus come out.
I don't even think they'd let me have it on the ship.
Oh, you're on a ship? Oh, you should have said I have silverfish.
Well, I had silverfish. I'm not sure where they've gone. But I have no regular fish. I have
Many kinds of birds.
this one speaks. She reaches her hand up, grabs out a parrot that looks truly traumatized, and she goes,
Speak! Speak!
and the parrot just like screeches and tries to struggle.
I believe you. Maybe he's just got a little performance anxiety.
Maybe.
She stuffs it back in. There's like feathers floating about, and it just like wheezes and.
What do you want?
Did you hear about the commotion last night over at the Shelfady?
No.
Do I believe her?
You can make an insight check.
That is a 15.
A 15.
Uh-huh.
You get the sense she doesn't really know what's going on beyond this shop, and often what is going on in this shop.
There was a break-in last night. Have you had any trouble? Did anyone break in here?
Break in? No.
How could you tell? Are you sure?
You're questioning me in my own shop, huh?
She like, pokes you in the stomach.
That's very rude.
Do you have anyone to help you take care of all these animals?
I am a bit of a whiz when it comes to animals. I do not need help.
And the snake kind of raises its head, and she like slaps it down. You're looking to buy?
I don't want to go home with anything that's not going to let people know that I've traveled, you know?
Oh, you want something ashari, something local.
Indeed.
What about this? What about this?
She grabs a box and opens the box very carefully, really slowly, and peers inside, and like kind of folds the sides of the box down, and you see a pile of sand.
That is a pile of sand.
It is a dust spirit, you fool. Be quiet, otherwise it will tickle your nose in your sleep.
What?
Shh! Whisper.
What?
It is a very tricksy spirit. It will tickle your nose and make you sneeze awake. Very annoying.
And you swear that if I buy this, like people are gonna know that?
Oh, of course, of course. Or you could buy one of our famous Ashari unicorns.
Oh, that sounds delightful.
She like walks into the back, her bedroom, after closing up the alleged sprite, and she comes out with a goat with one of its horns sawn off halfway down.
That is the famed Ashari unicorn.
One of only a few. There are not many left in the wild, you know. Very rare.
Well, her attention is on Bryn. Abarashmina is gonna like sidle around the shop looking for signs of the thief.
Okay, make me an investigation check.
Okay. Oh. Do I have inspiration from the recap?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I don't want that natural one.
Oh,
I don't
Uh,
know where you're going to put your foot into in this
oh,
place.
this is
So-
that's exactly what would happen. That is a 19.
okay. So you do see like a couple little bits of blood on that are like hand height on a couple cages that are empty. You also see there's like the counter like in the back is extremely dusty, but there is like a good like plate-sized ring that is fairly fresh, and just something about you is like I can't help it. I think that must that must be related.
Does it look like it was a cage or something that was there?
It doesn't particularly, because all the cages have caged like undersides, but this appears to be like a perfect flat circle.
Could I intuit what it is?
You're getting the impression it definitely could have been the pot. Could be something completely different, but you're sort of getting this feeling.
And being and this further back into the shop doesn't make her locate the object ping at all.
No.
Okay. Can I kind of see any other like doorways or exits to shop near where this was set down? Is there like a window? Like maybe they set it down to like open something up?
There is a window, but it's covered in cages that haven't been moved in what looks to be centuries.
So from
but
what I am seeing, the person came in through the front door into the back of the shop, put down the pot there, and then picked it up.
and left again. It's not in the back of the shop. It's like towards the back of the shop.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like in her bedroom area.
Okay. What else is around it?
The desk is fairly clear. There's a couple of like there's one cage, like some boxes. There's a three-legged gecko that's just staring at you. That's like hanging down off a branch.
This is like the saddest Fantastic Beasts episode ever. Yeah.
And so the woman, she's like, "Well, listen, you're coming here. You're looking for a shoddy things. I'm showing you shoddy things.
Well,
This is what
we've
they
got
are.
to talk about a price.
For the unicorn or for the spirit?"
Okay, so can the spirit do anything, or is it just like I've got to impress my friends?
Be careful. What about this snake? She like lifts the snake off her shoulder and puts it around your neck.
I mean, it's not a unicorn.
It's not, but it's a bit easier to manage on a boat, yes?
Well, I mean, but I also have to go back to Lament, and I need something that's going to be acclimated to that climate, or be able to acclimate to that climate. I don't think a dust spirit is going to survive.
Let me see. She's like kind of looking around at the various sad animals that kind of surround her. What about... Oh, this is a good idea. Yes. Very good idea. And she like reaches down into a box, like underneath a load of other boxes, and she opens it. And there's like a fairly foul smell, as whatever creature's been stuck in here has been in here for a long time and like hasn't really been fed. There is a giant sand-colored spider in there. Maybe the size of your head. And there's like webs all around and a few flies. And it just turns and looks up at you. It doesn't try and scuttle away or anything. And it's like 8 eyes just kind of meet yours. And it gives you the closest thing a spider can do to puppy dog, get me out of here eyes.
I mean,
Eyes of
he
the spider.
seems adorable. It is a. Oh. What is that smell?
Oh, I have forgotten to clean a little bit. But he is not a smelly creature. Very clean, actually.
Anything.
Pardon, see?
She has forgotten to clean anything.
Yeah.
I don't. That unicorn is just really speaking to my soul.
I'm gonna
Oh, yeah.
peek behind the curtain.
Okay. So you look behind and you see essentially a about 4 foot long bed that appears to be more of a sort of nest situation. A chest of drawers with all the drawers but one missing, and a bunch of animal food, and 2 more of those creepy ass dogs that are just hiding under the bed, hoping that the crazy woman doesn't notice them.
No other signs of our thief.
No, but there are a shitload of crystals.
Crystals.
Yeah, but like, you know, crystals you sell to middle-aged women.
Sure. Okay. Abrashmina is gonna like look to Bryn and kind of like shrug and continue like her like circuit around the shop looking for clues.
Come on. I had only 2 people come in recently who didn't buy anything. Now, you
Oh,
will
wait.
something. How about I give you these 2 things, 200 gold, the unicorn and the spider.
That's a lot of money. You've had visitors in here who haven't bought things?
Yes,
What were
but
they? What were they looking for?
I'm an excellent saleswoman.
Listen, if I want to buy something, I want to make sure that it's not going to be something that you're selling to everybody else out there. It needs to be a unique thing. What were they looking for?
Well,
What did they look at?
well, they looked at everything. I have fine wares, but the first one, he was looking for pygmy shroom babies, but I did not have. The second one, he was looking for the shipping house, but he did not know where it was. So I told him.
What did he look like?
He had red paint on his hand, like makeup. He had black hairs. Yeah, that's it.
Do I
What
know
was
where
he-
the shipping house is?
Yeah, the shipping house is super famous.
Okay.
Or not famous, but, you know, important. It's basically, you turn up there, you have something to send, like, anywhere in the world, and they'll get it there. And, like, they're kind of very much, like, you know, we can get anything anywhere, no job's too big type thing.
And you didn't sell him anything.
No, he would not buy. I did not.
What was he
even-
wearing?
What was he wearing? He's
Yes.
wearing,
Was he local?
He was local, very local. That's why I tried to sell him more unique things that are not local.
he was just wearing fancy robes.
What color were the robes?
Like not sand, but like lighter than sand. Like a sandy cloud.
Beige.
I did beige. What is beige?
It's a color.
Oh.
Don't worry about it.
So
Well, what are-
unicorn and spider, 200 gold.
Well, I mean, what do unicorns eat?
Unicorns, they eat grass. They eat carrots. They eat like mushroom things.
Are you
Whatever.
sure this just isn't a goat that you're
No.
trying to swindle me out of my hard-earned gold for?
I would not do this to you, a value customer. $150 gold.
Can I do a nature check? Is it totally just a goat?
You may do a nature check. I'm not telling you shit until you roll well.
It's 12.
It's a fucking goat.
A 12. It's a fucking goat.
I mean, I'm well aware of the fact that it's a fucking goat.
Yeah.
I'm just playing my part, and you
I
better
know.
hurry up this investigation, or else the Mirage is going to be the only owner of a Shari unicorn.
Yeah, I mean, we just found out the next place to go. So
No, well, now we
I
have to
would've-
decide whether or not we need an Ashari unicorn.
Look,
no.
100 gold for unicorn and spider.
Unicorn and the spider?
Yes, 100 gold. This is what I've said.
What
Keep
about
your
the
goat.
And the spider.
Keep your goat, old woman, and Abrashmina is going to come and take Bryn by the shoulders. Come now. This is no good for you.
I was promised something
I'm
cool.
27.
What about those wyverns over there? Those look pretty cool.
Oh,
Hands
Well.
off my wyverns.
no one wants.
You look back at her and she's talking to the spider and she says, "No one wants to buy you, I guess." She puts the lid on and she just fucking throws it over her shoulder.
I'll give you 10 gold for the spider.
10 gold for spiders. Yes, deal.
She goes to retrieve it. She just thrusts the box into your hand.
What do spiders eat?
Flies.
Is this going to eat me in my sleep?
No.
Do I get a refund?
Hmm?
I mean, okay, fine. I mean, Makuda.
Gold, come on. 12 gold.
9 gold, like we agreed upon.
Oh, okay.
9 gold.
She doesn't count it. She just takes it, pockets it.
And you want the goat as well? I mean, the unicorn?
Can I have the unicorn in that 9 gold?
How much?
Can I have the unicorn for 5 gold?
6 gold.
5 gold, or I'm walking out the door.
But 5 gold and you stay.
I mean, I'm gonna walk out the door. I mean, unless my friend really
with goat. I mean unicorn.
Yes, I leave with the unicorn.
Okay, 5 gold.
5 gold.
Do you give her the 5 gold?
Yeah.
Thrust it into her pocket.
You! Oh. You are like a big cow. Maybe I should... How much for your cow?
She asked that.
Yeah, he's not a cow, and he's
He
not
is
for sale.
for sale. Like all three of us say at the same time,
Hmm.
he is not for sale.
But if I take off one of his horns, I could say it's unicorn.
Wait a minute.
Hackles are like raising.
Wait a minute. Are you saying this is not a unicorn?
It is total unicorn. I'm just saying, to trick the tourist. You're not a tourist, though. You are a very special customer.
How much for the wyverns?
Wyverns? 75 gold pieces each.
How about 15 gold for the pair?
50 gold for the pair?
15 gold for a pair.
35 gold for pair.
I mean, you just sell me a unicorn for like 5 gold. That's way more valuable than
Wyverns can fly.
unicorns are special creatures.
21 gold. For both.
You're like looking around, and she has like no money. Make a persuasion check.
These things are just going to start eating your inventory soon. That will be a dirty 20.
Okay, she goes.
21 gold pieces.
For both.
22 on his deal.
22 and deal.
She shakes your hand. It's like,
Yes.
And I'll take the little tiny cage of wyverns and hands them to Makud.
I
Now-
mean, Makud is basically half in the door, half out of it this
Yeah.
entire time.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause-
You would like to buy the crooks? Or the snake?
Is the crew
Ants?
cute, or is it as horrific as it sounds?
Like a furry frog with
Yeah.
a maw. It sounds awful.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
I-
Does it look like Fizzgig from the Dark Crystal?
It looks like the dog from Despicable Me,
I
but
haven't
with a shrunken body.
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
I mean, I've
truthfully,
seen Despicable Me, but I don't remember a dog.
I will send you a picture. Yeah, this. It looks exactly like
Oh God.
this,
Mm,
but with a tiny body and the same size head.
That is
terrifying.
adorable.
They're kind of cute.
No.
Yeah, they are.
No.
If McCood leaves the shop, does the beetle just follow after him?
It absolutely does.
Okay, excellent. I'm done. Transaction is finished.
I was going to narrate that whether you wrote it, whether you asked or not. And she is completely oblivious. The beetle just scuttles off.
Yeah.
Oh, my ride's here.
McCood, like, I just want to kind of just bend / tear open the cages. Just like the other things, just kind of like crawled around him and
Are you trying to do it without being noticed?
no, not without
No.
no, we've bought it. We're out in the street.
Oh,
I just want to open the cages so they're not crammed into the cages.
the
Like,
wyvern cages.
yeah,
Yeah.
he'll take whatever wyvern damage is coming to him, but
We're done with this crazy bee.
Yeah.
I have a unicorn
going to
now.
be freeze.
There are a load of bigger old cages if you want to go that route. But if you like open the cages, the wyverns will like jump out and like latch onto you, like onto your forearm or whatever. Just sink their teeth in, take 2 points of piercing damage.
Okay,
But they just kind of hang there,
cool.
and
Here's
they're
more
like
than-
drinking the little bits of blood that sink down.
Oh my god, they're vampires.
They are absolutely wyverns, right?
They are wyverns.
Okay.
199% wyverns.
McCood takes damage from a hostile source and then goes ballistic. No, I'm
Just like speed
I'm
bang them on his arm.
so glad that we asked if you were immune this episode.
he doesn't consider these hostile, so it's fine.
No.
Cool. He's happy with them clinging on.
And the beetle is
And the beetle
trying to
behind him.
keep up. But it seems no matter how far away you get from this beetle, it always eventually finds its way to you. And it still has the 2 gold sticker on it.
Perfect. I thought it was 7, but never mind.
Oh, 7 even, yeah. 2 gold was the answer.
He just sees squiggles, so it doesn't really matter to him.
So you leave with a unicorn, a spider, 2 wyverns, and a beetle. Anything else you wanted to have, Rashmina, while you're in the show? You
No,
saved
I-
five creatures' lives and made them so
God.
much less awful.
No, it's a shame we couldn't do the entire thing. But
I mean, you probably could say like 5 gold for the lot, and she'll go yes, and you walk away with hundreds of creatures.
My God, death and kill you.
it's like, well, we have that big open basement. We got
Yeah,
opening pet shop.
Declan comes back and his lab's just turned into a fucking zoo.
It's a menagerie now. Bad luck.
But yes, we should go to the shipping house. It seems that perhaps this thief is trying to get the pots shipped away to a buyer, perhaps. But this is how these things go. No?
Yeah.
No,
Now the
but
question is, are we going to have to bribe someone or knock in some heads to get information?
well, hopefully we can find the man trying to ship the pot. That sounds really weird with accent. Trying to ship the pot. But yes, we head to shipping house.
Legalize the pot.
All right.
So, you guys head over to the shipping. Are you dropping off the animals first? Did you say sorry?
Nope.
Nope, just fucking going straight into it. Okay. So,
I mean, unless the others want to. The Abrashminas are like, oh no, he's going to mail the thing. We got to go before
Yeah,
the
time
mail is
sensitive.
out.
Is
yeah.
the shipping warehouse on the way, or is a pub on the way to this warehouse? Otherwise, no. Like Makud will fight with the two like wyverns hanging off him, and the beetle will be fine. I'm
so
sure.
the shipping house is really near the docks. Like basically, so actually, yeah, it would be basically opposite your inn because your inn is right at the docks also.
Yeah.
So we could drop them off.
Yeah,
you're
very
saying?
easily. Like it's probably like right across the road.
Okay.
Let us go terrorize Tolex and put him in charge of these things.
Don't let my
The
unicorn.
spider, the unicorn, the wyverns. Give
So
them
also,
to the nervous wizard.
an interesting thing about your inn is that it's an L shape, and like the bar is kind of nestled into the foot of the L. But in cleaning it up, you kind of actually find that there's a little like wooden hatch that you can open, and so you can actually have like an outside seating area and serve drinks to the outside as well. And so,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Or
so
it
you
could be a paddock for a.
You could defo. I mean, you've got like quite a lot of like. There's a little bit of surrounding land that comes with the inn.
That's where the unicorn lives now.
So there is space for a unicorn.
All right. We are going to
His name
put
is Merlin.
Talux in charge of watching.
Oh
Watching.
God! His like eyes are wide. He's like, I can try.
Just until we get back.
Oh, okay. What's in that box?
Did I
Pain.
recognize what kind of spider it was?
Make me an age check.
Oh, jeez.
Makud can as well.
Oh, 15.
Did you roll shit again, Dan?
Awful. My rolls have been, and I'm using different dice, and they're all terrible.
I'm sorry. They're probably my dice, aren't they?
I am using your pouch of dice, and I started on what were Makud's dice, and now kind of Yova's as well, but they're not rolling well, so I went through several different ones, and I tried the black and white one, and that honestly, I've rolled so many 5s and 4s and 6s and stuff this session. It's been terrible. Yes, I have no idea.
In fact, Makud, I will say, just to be nice, also you can have advantage because these do live out in the desert, and so you will have come across them more than everyone else. You don't really get them in cities.
Nature? I rolled a 14 minus 2 for 12.
Okay, so you've probably seen spiders, but you've never been that interested.
Sure.
Abrashmina, you reckon this is what is known as just a desert rock spider. It doesn't create like giant webs. Instead, it likes to like create sort of a small little web kind of away, like, in a corner or whatever, but then go and hide somewhere else and treat it more like a fisherman rather than sitting on its web and waiting for things to catch. It's so big. It likes to sort of hide so that, things aren't scared away by it.
So it's a jumping spider.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of, but no, it more like it will make a little nest or a little web, and then it will go and like hide in a different nest somewhere, and then somewhere it can watch its own web, and then when it sees something in its web, it scuttles up, like mummifies it, and then goes to hide again. And usually they don't eat anything bigger than a little bird, but like they'll eat flies.
Usually. Okay.
yeah, I mean, there's always horror stories.
It is a a desert rock spider.
Oh, all right. I don't particularly mind spiders. That should be okay. And the goat. Right. I suppose some hay for the goat, maybe.
It's a unicorn.
He like glances at Abrishmina. Like,
It's
is she for real?
she shakes her head.
Okay.
Makud
God,
wearing.
fighting you. He like stares at the wyverns.
I have found that they like blood. That is something you can add to your knowledge of wyverns.
Of course. And you see him pull out a tiny notebook, begin scribbling.
Perhaps they need some raw meat. Some steaks, perhaps.
We have meat in the kitchen. And he
Yes.
like turns and scuttles in and comes out with like a small steak on a plate.
I think that is about it.
Abrashmina will pick up a piece of the steak and kind of like hold it next to one of like the wyvern's beak to see if she can entice it to bite the steak instead of Makud's arm.
So it's like cut into lots of different pieces, and he's just sort of holding it out. The wyvern, like, you see its eye kind of roll back and look up at the steak, and then you hear it kind of take a bit of a breath and then just jump and spin and like latch on, and it gets your thumb in the process, but it's definitely going for the steak. Bryn, you also see like the lid of the spider box open slightly and one really long sandy colored leg reach out, spear a bit of steak, and slowly drag back.
Well, it eats meat too.
Yes, maybe keep the wyverns away from the box until they are bigger.
They're totes small enough for the spider to eat. Spider's fucking huge.
I clearly made a mistake.
Yeah.
Seems dirty
It's
enough.
fine. I will train it,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
or we will kill it.
Mm-hmm.
We can set it free.
yeah. And so Tolok seems fairly capable at looking after everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that we like come in and then 5 minutes later the beetle comes in and then we kind of like leave and then 5
Probably
minutes later
takes
the
like
beetle leaves.
slightly longer than 5 minutes. It's probably like 10
Okay.
to 15 because its movement speed is like a quarter of yours.
Sure.
But there is eventually this like and it just somehow always finds its way to you.
But Makud is like he doesn't really mention the beetle, so maybe it just like comes in for a bit and Tolix kind of looks at it and then the beetle turns around and
so it
leaves
comes
again.
in and it just, as soon as it reaches you, it just bumps up against your foot and then just immediately like pulls all its legs in, folds its head in, so it just looks like a little
Scarab
sort of
thing.
teal colored scarab, but like a little just kind of like hemisphere almost, just sitting on the floor, like very shiny with a little tag on it that says 7 gold.
That is going to be its name. 7 gold.
7 gold.
7G. Yeah, so animals dropped off to the shipping house.
Okay. So you head off to the shipping house. You see the beetle starts taking off after you. So the shipping house, essentially it's a giant warehouse, but the only actual bit you can walk in is very, very small, like entryway with a desk, and there's 4 attendants standing by the desk. Most of them are being served, and you have to wait a little bit in a queue. But eventually you come to one. It's a young man, and he's like fairly well dressed. He looks like he takes pride in his work. He says, "Good morning, sirs and ladies. What can I do for you today?" I would like
as
to inform you that we have special rates on shipping to Merak and Lament at the moment. That is all.
did I didn't ask for it, but did Mina take the this tiny painting of like Thelha's mother as like
She can have done if you wish.
yes, Abrash Mina will go up to the counter and like yes, we are investigators. We are in the search for stolen goods. The owner of an item has asked us to retrieve it from a thief that from our investigations had led us to believe that he has come here with it. And I'm going to cast locate object.
Okay. 1,000 feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the sense that it is in the warehouse beyond.
Yes, and she'll just like very matter of factly go it is this way, and she'll like hand like show like the painting of like woman clearly owning item, and she's going to like just walk past him into the warehouse.
And he says, and he like looks to his colleagues who will shrug, and then he just like scurries after. He's like, ma'am, you're not supposed to be back here, I'm afraid.
We can handle this now, or I can go and get the authorities, and then you can explain to them why you are dealing with stolen goods.
Make me an intimidation check.
Okay. Oh, that's cocked. Ah! That is a intimidation. What was that? 17. I really should let brain do these things.
You see him, he opens his mouth and then closes it again and sort of like, okay, very well, very well. My apologies. I did not mean to interfere. I'm trying to do my job, you understand?
Understand perfectly. And Abrashmina is going to keep.
Yeah.
Like,
and so you kind of walk
through with confidence.
You walk through, kind of going down rows like that Indiana Jones film that never happened. And you eventually come to like a large...
The good one.
Pardon?
Or the end of the good one.
Yeah. And you come to a large crate. And you're absolutely sure that the pot is in there.
It is in this one.
He kind of takes it down, opens it in like a very particular way, and looks inside. You do see the pot, but immediately you notice that something is missing from the front of it. Some kind of like relief or kind of embossed section. Like on the picture, it's got this sort of gem and gold section set into it, and that is missing. And you are no longer getting like a magical thrum from the pot, or you're not, that you would expect for an object this powerful.
It was brought to you like this?
Yes, ma'am. We were given instructions, and he's like looking through the files in the box, and he says, this was a strange one. We were given a map. It was to be taken south. I think it is one of the first ones we have had to take south.
What is south?
Well, the desert.
Now look at the map.
Yeah, so the map sort of shows basically to it's got an X like on the southern side of the
Selgros Mountains?
No, not that far.
Okay.
The thingy. Oasis.
Right.
Yeah. So as you can see, there's the map again. it's sort of in that sort of crook near the bottom, just slightly up and right from the top of the R.
Mm. All right. And what can you tell me about the individual that brought this?
Well, he was a very, very tall man. He had sort of reddish blonde hair. He had a fairly, like, really large nose, and it was kind of hairy. And he was wearing these sort of black robes that covered his whole body.
Do you have a name, location?
Let me see. Oh, yes. Here is the name and everything. You see, it says first name, Dukia. Second name, the Magnificent.
That was tallish. I thought you said reddish hair, but reddish robes, I'm guessing then.
Reddish
No.
hair, black robes. He is not as the Dukia you met was described.
Right. Okay. Cool.
That Dukia was wearing a purple cloak, white collar, red waistcoat, blue and white pantaloons.
And it is also not what the individual was wearing that.
Yeah, that robbed them.
Mm-hmm. When was this brought in? Is there a date on a time on
It
the
was brought
manifest?
in first thing this morning, ma'am.
Is there anything else in the crate?
There is not just the map, the pot, and the sort of details, most of which just haven't been filled out.
When was this to be delivered?
Immediately, as soon as we could. We had lined up a delivery agent already to head out into the desert later today.
And does it say who it was being delivered to, or is it just being delivered to a location?
Yes, it was delivered to the same man who left it. You see, the names are the same.
You didn't think that was odd?
No, quite a few people come on holiday to Ashar and mail things to their homes. It is very odd that it was going south, I will admit, but I did not handle this transaction.
Who did?
I am not sure. Let me see. It looks to have been Shahid.
And you said that some of the forms aren't filled out?
Yes, it looks like he did not put return address. He did not put fragility, handle with care, that sort of thing. But a lot of people leave that stuff blank.
Is
He has filled
Shahid,
out the bare minimum.
is Shahid here?
She is, I think. She might be on her break, but I can go and see if that will be helpful.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to speak to her.
Nods and like scuttles off to the back of the like warehouse. Thal, who is still with you, by the way.
He's also quiet.
Well, I mean, he doesn't like speaking much anyway, and he definitely
He's not
doesn't
like any
speaking.
of the pets.
No, he doesn't. Actually, okay. He did not make his wisdom save and ended up buying one of the crooks.
Oh my.
Oh, Maya's gonna love that.
Yeah. he wasn't a fan of like the
He's
cake.
got a bigger mouth than she does.
Yeah, but he's just like holding it and stroking it, and it's like purring softly. Yeah, and he says, we've got the pot, but if it's not finished, then
Yes.
we should find the other piece. Yes, you'll
Yes.
still help.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
The job is not done until the thing is whole.
and you see he's like beaming, and so this man leads you into the back, to where there's like a few people sitting, like sipping drinks, eating lunch. There's like a hookah that they're smoking, and he leads you over to this small woman, very petite frame, kind of very like thin, sort of lank hair, fairly bushy eyebrows, and
She wearing
pardon?
is she wearing taupe?
She is not. She is wearing the same uniform that everyone's wearing,
Mm.
which is sort of this like navy robe. And
I
she
am
just
going
kind
to
of
check her fingernails, though.
okay. She frowns up at you. Make me a perception check.
18.
18. You get a pretty good look at her fingernails while she's like puffing on the hookah. They seem very clean.
All right.
And she says, "Who is this?" And the man replies, "Oh, they are just here investigating. They want to know about the man who wanted the pot sent south." "Oh, yes, of course. What do you want to know?"
What can you tell us about Dukia the Magnificent?
Well, he was very tall. He spoke with quite a strange voice. He said he wanted it sent south, and when I asked him why, he said he was thinking about building a holiday home on the bank of the oasis on the far side. I did not know people did that, but apparently they do.
Mm,
Has this individual shipped anything from here before?
No, he was a first-time customer. He had to register.
what does that entail?
Just name, upfront fee, that sort of thing. Just administration.
That is it? Name and money?
Name, fee, a return address, though that's not compulsory. Yeah, that's it. Really.
What is the address that he left?
He did not leave a return address.
What is the point of having people register if they are not actually registering any information that does not appear on the shipping forms?
Well, it is more. She shrugs. A way to
Extra
get
fee.
a little extra fee. Yes.
It's a service charge.
It is a custom in a shop.
How big you need to gather that?
Anyway, unless you have any more questions, I do not have long left on my break.
Was there anyone else in the building when he came in? As far as like customers and things?
There was one or two customers, but no one of any note.
Anyone pay any particular interest to him?
I mean, he was a very strange-looking man, but no one was, I guess, staring or anything. I wasn't really focused. I was just working, you know.
Was this Dukir? He was a shari, yes?
I think so. Yes.
But you said his voice was strange. Strange how?
It is hard to describe. It was like quite deep and lilting. It had a sort of strange like growl to it.
It's kind of how he sounded when he talked to us, yeah?
Yeah, you could extrapolate that.
Was that a strange Ashari accent? It didn't seem strange before.
His one was, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, so most Ashari kind of speak like they are, like, oh yes, we're Ashari. But he was much more like, oh yes, I am from Ashar, definitely. It's
Sounded
definitely
like a lizard person trying to be Ashari.
yeah. Sounded like a reptilian alien trying to fit in.
Mm.
Hillary Clinton, we're watching you.
Oh my god.
Keep politics out of our D&D. Our D&D game about slavery. Let's keep politics.
Yeah. Keep it PC, guys.
Yeah. This is where I wish I was smarter, so I could play my character smarter.
Mm-hmm. You are smart, Sam.
Mm.
But yes, I do not have long left on my break, so if you sign, Watik will help you, but if you sign a release for contraband or unlawful trade, then the item will be released into your custody as well as the map and everything. So,
Well, you say that like I am not currently holding it.
no, but
like all of it.
official channels.
Okay.
I mean, you're not holding the pot. The pot's pretty huge.
Okay. Yes, that will be all right.
All right. Watik, get the forms, please. And he like nods and kind of scurries off. Returns a moment later, and he's just got like a form. It's just like name, like reason for like requisition of the item, 2 gold service charge.
Do any of like the employees look like they've been like recently injured or anything like that?
Make me a perception check.
Or look like they're acting nervous about us being around asking questions? Ooh, my best roll of the night. That's 23.
23.
Mhm.
You look right. You don't think so. You think everyone's pretty all right.
Okay.
Just look kind of intrigued. Like it's the most interesting thing that will probably happen to them today.
But definitely, from her description, it seems like the Dukir that was here was the Dukir that was in our building, even though dressed.
Not in looks, but in everything else, it seems like that could be a possibility.
He at least sounded like.
I mean, that was her description, and you heard his voice.
Yeah. Was the Dukir that was in our building? You said he was tall, right?
Yeah, the Duke here who came into yours is also very tall.
But he was kind of like thin but broad of shoulders. Yes.
Yeah.
Is that how she described him, or she just described him as
No, she just described him as sort of tall and thin.
tall and thin? Okay. Did the Dukir that came into our inn have like distinguishing jewelry or scars or anything like that that Mina could question?
He had a cane.
He had a cane. Did this Dukir have a cane?
He did.
Mina will describe the one that.
It was a very simple, like wooden straight cane.
Okay.
But she confirms that it appears to be the same one.
Okay. And you said that no one seems like injured or anything like that, or is just like this is just interesting. No one's like acting like
Yeah, no one's that fascinated, that too like into it.
Okay. I'll pay the service charge and fill out the form.
Yeah, and so the pot and everything is released to you.
And the map.
Yeah. So the map's where it was to be delivered to.
Yeah. Do I have an inkling why they would break up the item and ship it like this?
So the item itself, like in the forms describing it,
Mm-hmm.
it just describes the pot. It doesn't describe, and it describes the pot with a piece missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very thorough, but it doesn't describe the gold piece of it.
I
The
mean, the
gold.
pot might have been too heavy for him to take, and like the magic bit, is precious. He might not want that to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that, that's what I was
yeah.
trying to ask. Like, why would he have broken it in two?
That seems like a fair assumption.
That he just wanted the magic bit in his possession.
Or that he couldn't carry the pot, and so maybe he's having the pot mailed to wherever he was going.
But we have a direction to go in.
Mm-hmm.
So I say we go surprise him
Mm-hmm.
and ask him if he still wants us to handle that favor for him or if he's got it himself.
Seems as though he is taking care of business on his own.
Seems that way.
Although it seems as though he got someone else to help him. It does not sound like he was the one that attacked Uvira. Or Ubi.
Well, someone clearly didn't read the fine print.
Mm. So yeah, I guess we are to be journeying south to the oasis.
Yeah.
should we
So you-
try-
you reckon the quickest way is like if
Is
you
it worth trying to find his home here in the city to see if like the other piece is there?
Probably not.
You don't think it would be worth our time?
He's probably already on his way to wherever this was going to be delivered.
Mm. Abarashmina would like to take 10 minutes to sit down at like a little bistro with her cards.
Alrighty. I mean, your inn is opposite.
Oh, well, fine, whatever. We can go back home and what she wants to do.
The beetle just gets to the shipping center before you leave, and so it just turns around. No word of complaint follows.
Oh,
Meanwhile, the spider has massacred everyone.
sweet little beetle boy. Yeah, we'll return back to the Mirage.
So you return. You find two very full wyverns, like sitting in like a kind of rolled up like nest that Tolox made from his cloak.
Mm-hmm.
The spider is nowhere to be seen,
Oh shit.
and the goat is sitting outside chewing on what appears to be hay. That's just been
Unicorn.
And there's like a bucket of water, hay, and it can like sit in the shade of the building and just chew. And it looks very, very happy.
All right. Abarachmina is going to sit at the bar and use her cards. And she's thinking specifically about trying to find Dukira's home here in the city.
Okay. So the cards flip. Whoa.
All right. So we go for the desert, I suppose. Looking at like the burn tower.
Is it possible that we leave it there before we leave the city, and next session we can take Declan with us or something?
I mean, we can do. Like, if you go and deal with it, it's like a self-contained thing. But if you want to bring Declan in for the end, that's absolutely fine.
Just
Up to you guys.
it's getting a smidge late, and I have to be up early.
Oh, of course, yeah. No problem. We can leave it there then, and
It just seemed like a good
Declan here for the
break
next. Yeah, of course.
before we move.
Everyone cool with that?
Mm-hmm.